Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the Empowered Educator. Hopefully, you're having an amazing week and you had an amazing month of April. I know this releases on Sunday and it's the last weekend of April and we're getting into May, but wow, can I just say I cannot believe that we're already at the end or almost to the end of another school year. I'm turning 55 at the end of May and finishing up my 31st year in education. And I just think, where has the time gone? Especially when I sit down and I develop programs or conversations with people or do coaching, and I think, I remember doing that. It feels like yesterday. And then I realize it was 20 years ago, or it was 25 years ago, or whatever. It's just surreal. But anyway, we are back this week and into a new theme. And this month, I want to really focus on data and not just looking at test score data, but what gives us a whole complete picture of what's happening in our classrooms. This year, I have really stayed true to my goals and my focus, and that is to talk with school leaders and teachers about systems and processes and procedures and building relationships and developing trust and providing environments where students feel safe to come and learn. And now I just want us to really think about how do we measure if what we're doing is working? I think so many times we get so stuck on test scores, right? Now, I will preface this. Yes, they are very, very important. And as a matter of fact, if you have students that are not making the standard, whether it comes to grades in the classroom or on the test, we need to talk about instruction, right? Because tier one instruction is so important. And I get it. So many teachers these days are not certified fully, have not had the appropriate training. And I don't even know. I mean, I know some states are doing this whole science of teaching reading, but beyond that, I don't know if people really have great courses in college to prepare us to be reading teachers. And if kids can't read, we know they can't do anything else. However, sometimes it's not just about that academic data for us to be able to get a complete picture of how things are going in the classroom. I think back to my first year, everything was wrong, right? My academic data didn't meet the standard. My behavior referrals were off the chart. My satisfaction from parents, nope, it wasn't so great. My satisfaction with myself wasn't so great. But then I started to learn, well, we needed to focus on different instructional strategies to get my type of students prepared to be able to handle the rigor of the state assessment. Okay, let's do that. I needed to align my instructional practices and assessment practices throughout the school year with how the test was going to look and measure my student growth during the state assessment time. Okay, did that. But I also had to look at other subjective pieces. I had to make sure that I had a classroom management system that was built in a way that could support my students' behavioral needs, teach them replacement behaviors that were appropriate, and provide an environment where they felt welcomed, where they felt safe, and that we all knew we were in it together as a community. I also had to make sure that my students felt engaged and that they didn't want to miss out on learning so that they wouldn't be absent. I needed to have a communication system that kept my families informed so that there weren't surprises because nobody likes surprises, right? Especially as a parent. I learned that quickly. However, we had to put those things in place because they just were not there. Then I had to ensure that I had systems for how I was going to network with other teachers and collaborate and build my skill set while supporting others building theirs as well. There's a lot to teaching. It is multifaceted, multi-tiered. It is all of the multis that you can imagine, right? And nobody really teaches you that in college. And I went to a really great college and had a really great program. So I think that we get stuck on the things that we can grasp onto. Test scores. That's something we can grasp onto. It's an objective measurement. You either get the score or you don't get the score. And when our campus is so focused on those scores, and our school board and our district leaders and our community, it's hard not to be, right? So as we go through the month of May, I'm really going to be keeping the focus on these systems that we have in place, but also how do we implement the right systems so that we can see a whole picture of how healthy our classroom is. Now we're wrapping up this school year, as I mentioned, so you're not going to make a whole lot of change now. But I also feel, and I said this as a teacher and I said this as a school principal, we're at the time of year where you have one foot in this year and the other foot in next year. You're already thinking about things that you want to do differently going forward. You're already thinking about how you can set something up with your management system so that you can ensure that it gets to May and you're not going, I want to pull my hair out. This is normal. And if you are thinking about making a transition, remember, just because you're going into a new environment doesn't mean you don't have to think about all of these systems as well, because you're still in charge of your classroom. I'm excited to share that I am finishing up another book. This one is going to be self-published. It will be an ebook that you can get directly from me on my website, and you can get it into your hands immediately. I know Amazon is pretty quick, but Sherry Dixon's on, we're quick too, right? As soon as you purchase, I get the book sent to you in a PDF. This one, though, is pretty near and dear to my heart. And I got pretty vulnerable with this one because it opens up with me talking about everything I did wrong my first year. I just put it out there. You know, they say people can't criticize you if you're criticizing yourself first. That's kind of what I did. But then I went into what lessons did I learn from that first year? And then how did I make adjustments? And what did I learn was most important so that I could run a classroom that was efficient and actually getting the job done successfully. And I have one chapter left to write, and this one's going to be my favorite, I think, because then I'm going to talk about once I was able to put that in place, what did it do for my career moving forward? So that's going to be out. I'm thinking it should be out by Teacher Appreciation Day, the first part of May. So I got to get myself in gear, right? But it's just about ready to go. I'm excited and I would love for you to get your hands on it. And as a matter of fact, I'm putting it at a little bit of a cheaper price than what I typically put my books at. This one is going to run for $19. That's it. And like I said, it's going to be a game changer for people. And then, of course, there will be upsells in the future. And if you do want some more support, you can definitely reach out to me. I have a variety of ways that you can get that support. However, I do also want to mention, as we're talking about this data, one of the things that we're going to talk about next week on this show is what is your behavior data really telling you about student behavior? And I think that a lot of times we want to generalize things and we want to say, oh, I have a lot of referrals. My kids are just bad. Okay, well, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm going to be honest with you because that's how I play. There's a reason. Every action has a purpose, has a reason behind it. And when we find out that reason, we can fix what's happening and then we can have a different result. And that's what's so exciting. But I did take one of the chapters, it's about classroom management, and I turned it into a workshop for the month of June. It will be very low key, but also powerful. So the way I will design this workshop is that 1 hour per week, a group of teachers will come together online for a workshop that will consist of a little bit of teaching and a little bit of guidance, and then a lot of role play, question and answer, and a way to be able to really be sure that teachers have a great system ready in August or September when you're going back to school. The course is going to run 4 weeks, so it's just 4 hours total, and it's $200, super easy, super cheap. And I take purchase orders, so if this is something your school needs, talk to your principals, talk to your leaders. But the best thing about it is it's going to be the game changer that you might need to fix those behaviors right now so that you can go into this next year feeling completely different. So let me know if that's something you might like. I will be advertising that a little bit more on my social media because I do want that to release the first week of June and wrap up by the end of June so you can still enjoy July for your summer break. Data. Data is powerful, y'all. And it's not just about that objective data on test scores. It's about all of the data. And when we have a system for looking at our data and knowing what it's telling us, as I mentioned, then we can start fixing the things that might not be working and really run classrooms that are thriving and where you actually enjoy showing up every day. How wonderful would that be? I think it'd be pretty fantastic. All right, y'all, that's everything I have for you this week. I hope you have an amazing week ahead. Stay strong. We're almost to the finish line. And I'll see y'all next week on Empowered Educator.